Opperman, and we are live here at the Empowering You Center. And I am here tonight with Diane Nolan. Say hello.
Hello.
And we have a live audience here, and then we also have you on Facebook. So tonight's topic is how to live a worry-free life. And we're going to be sharing lots of ideas, and what we would like to have you do as we're discussing things is to write a question in the box, and we have someone monitoring the feed so that you can ask a question at any time, and she'll raise a hand and interrupt us for that, so it's not a problem. Are we good? Are we live everywhere? We're rocking and rolling. Okay, so how to live a worry-free life. Does anybody here worry? Stress? Out? Okay. We all do, and it took me a lot of learning to learn how to no longer worry. A lot of classes, and we're going to talk about how to do that. So I've come up with, what do you call it, an acronym for the word worry. So when you think of, I'm so worried, I want you to think worry, take apart the word, W, without, real, reason, and then why. Why worry? Because when you're worrying, is there really a reason for you to be worrying? Or is it your thoughts in your mind that are creating the worry? We're going to talk a lot about thoughts. Diane is a holistic practitioner here at the Empowering You Center, and I am a certified life coach. And we both teach classes. I teach classes in time and stress management, and one of Diane's specialties is anxiety and stress management for everybody. Worrying cannot change the outcome of something, right? We know that. And Diane and I were talking beforehand, and we said that worrying is a choice, right?
Correct.
And how can we choose not to worry? How do you do that?
By acknowledging first what you're worrying about and finding a way to be at peace with it. Every emotion has a center line, which is peace, so you need to find peace in it.
And we say that worrying robs you of your peace.
Yes.
It robs you of your peacefulness.
Mm-hmm.
It robs you of your joy and your happiness. There are lots of people. I grew up in a family of worriers. My grandmother, the storm's coming. Do you have your milk and bread? Get it in. We're flying away. I'm flying on Wednesday with my granddaughter. She's like, Mom, are we going to crash? Is our plane going to crash? I'm like, why are you even thinking about that? I said, you're getting in your car right now. Is your car going to crash? Is that tree going to fall down? I'm trying to teach her at 9 years old not to worry. And there are lots of things you could worry about, but you actually have to choose not to worry. How do you do that? How do you choose not to worry?
You first have to understand what you're worrying about. You have to acknowledge it and bring
So
it
flying
forward.
a plane. So let's just say flying in a plane. There's lots to worry about. We're going to Florida, where they had all that problem last week. Different airport. But how do you choose not to worry?
Well, I guess this is probably where meditation comes into play. You have to learn how to find your center of peace. Then you ask yourself, am I going to go on this trip? Am I going to get on the airplane? The answer is probably yes. So is worrying going to stop you from getting on the plane? No, but it's going to make your trip less desirable. So it's a choice. You just have to choose. How do I find peace within this? So you have to look inward.
Worrying kind of goes along the same lines with fear, doesn't it?
Definitely. It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. So those who are worrying all the time are usually fearful. And, as I said, I grew up with a lot of worrying people. So my mother would not go in an elevator. She would not ride over a bridge without my grandmother. When we used to go to the shore, she would get on the floor of the car in the back, this is like in the early 70s, and put a pillow over her head and scream the whole time we were going over the Walt Whitman Bridge. I mean, that's what I grew up with. I grew up with people who worried all the time. And it really wasn't until I started taking a lot of classes that I learned that worrying is a choice. And suddenly I decided to choose not to worry. And I gave myself that power, which was very odd, because I was like, I'm just going to choose not to worry about getting on this plane. I used to be afraid to fly. So I'm going to choose not to worry. I'm going to feel the fear, and this is a book that my mom read to get over her fear of flying herself. Feel the fear and do it anyway. And that was the whole book. It was like, feel it, and we were going to talk about that, right? acknowledge the feeling, like you said,
Right.
and then decide where do you want to be with it. Do I want to be at peace with this, or do I want to be in this state of worry? Is this making sense to anybody? Making sense?
Mhm.
It's a choice that you have the power to do. So the first thing is to recognize that the choice comes with your thought, because the first thought is fear.
And recognize that we live in a fear-based society.
Yes,
So
we sure do.
it's not unintentional that all this fear is being thrown at us. So acknowledging that and making choices on your own, how do you want to stop that? How do you want to not let it come in? You know, turn off your TV, choose which news feeds you let into your life and into your house, and make replacements. You know, don't have the TV on and have music on instead. Just, you know, make choices that are better for you.
So stop having the stimulus of well, yeah, you can turn the news on, you can go through the news feed, it's always bad, right? It's always things that want you to panic. That's what sells, they say.
Right.
Like it would be odd to turn the news on and say, oh, so-and-so got straight A's on the report card today and somebody won this game. If that's not going to sell, and they know that. So
Right.
they have to put all the things that, you know, are happening around the world, like what did that happen? Well, who was it? And what did they do and why? And it gets us in this.
Right, so don't just turn your TV on and accept what they're selling. You make the choice as to which news organization you feel is worthy and that, you know, you want to subscribe to, but you have a choice there. You don't have to accept what they're putting at you.
Right. And it's all of your emotions. It's not just fear. It can be sadness. Like if you're up in the middle of the night and you have your TV on and all those rescues are coming on with the puppy dogs that are sitting there, like that can really start to get you, right? You start feeling the sadness and then it gets overwhelming. And then, you know, it can just snowball and it can put your whole mood,
Right,
you know,
there's a
down.
sad emotion and then you're down in the dumpster.
So the first thing that you have to do is to choose a different thought.
Right.
So if you're starting to worry, what you said was to acknowledge it.
Right, no, you have a choice. Have a choice.
The choice would be, do I want to worry and cause myself stress, or do I want to choose peace? And can you choose peace in that moment?
You can, it takes training, but you can.
You have to learn how to do that.
Right.
Which is what I call staying in the moment. So all of these things, you could be in the middle of an accident, you can be in the middle of a disaster. The only thing that you can control right now is your thoughts and your actions and how you're going to respond, right?
Correct.
And we call that staying in the moment. What can I control right here, right now? What can I do? You know, one night in the middle of the night, I got a call from my daughter's friend, and you know, when they call you at 2 o'clock in the morning for your daughter's phone, and they say, you know, my name, you know, her name is Bunting, so she thought my name was still Bunting. Mrs. Bunting, I'm here with Danielle, and we just called 911. Like what? What? You know, and she was having issues, but I had to think, okay, what can I do? I have to get up. She was in Delaware. I have to get dressed. I have to wake my husband up. We have to get in the car. Like I had to go through, like instead of worrying what was going on, because I said, is she breathing? Yes, she's breathing. And I had to think about, I don't have time to put my contacts in. I have to put my glasses on, and I had to break it down for myself so that I didn't get all panicky, because that's where we would normally go, right? The
Right.
hormones kick in, and it's fight or flight, and you go there because everything. Of course, my adrenaline was going, but I had to stay in the moment to get to the hospital, where she was fine. But it was, I guess it's like a form of mind control, right?
It is.
Like
You
I
slow
had to control my
everything down.
mind.
You did.
And
yeah.
you have to do that, and that's the same thing with people who have anxiety and panic attacks. You have to stay in the moment. You know that you're going to get through this. Well, you don't think so, that you are at the time, but stay. And I call it the ABCs. So A is I'm aware, I'm feeling stressed. I'm aware that I'm anxious. B, I say breathe. You have to breathe when you have that awareness of whether it's worry, fear, panic. You have to breathe. And I teach a technique, it's the same thing we do in yoga, is a triple breath. and it really can help you. I taught it to a woman, I taught it to a class, and there was a woman who told me later that she was on her way to the hospital in an ambulance having a heart attack, and the only thing she could think about having to control herself and her feelings was to do the triple breath breathing. And she did that all the way to the hospital, and she did okay. But when you take a breath, normally we take a breath in, and I say take a deep breath, you go, and you put your shoulders up. But the triple breath breathing is you put your hands, and anybody wants to do it, you all can try it. You take a deep breath, and as you're taking a deep breath, you push out your belly button. Hold it, breathe your side body, and breathe your upper body, and then it really makes you focus on your breathing. And you realize you have control of something when you feel you don't have control of anything. And you do it, you cannot do it like this because you'll hyperventilate. So you have to do it very slow. And do that a couple times, and it helps reset everything that's going.
It also gets the oxygen to your brain.
And the importance of oxygen and the cells are very, 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 very important, because that's what happened. Have you ever been like rushing around, like trying to get somewhere, and you're trying to like in the morning I'm trying to get my vitamins out and all, and my hands will be like, why aren't my hands working? Because you're not breathing, and you're not getting the oxygen to the tips of your fingers, so they're not going to function properly. You're not going to be able to drive. You're not going to be able to do anything if you don't control what's happening the best that you absolutely can. What other techniques do you have for when you have to be, when you said you want to choose to be in the moment? We say we're aware, we breathe, then we have to see, ABC, choose,
right.
Control your response. I say control your response, your reaction. You like the word choose.
Choose, right. But also you need to understand what's coming first. Is it the heart palpitations and that kind of anxiety coming on, or is it thoughts that are racing through your mind? Is it something that is happening?
Like, what was the trigger?
Right.
What started it?
So, you need to breathe, but then you also need to say, this is a problem that needs a solution. Simple. It's just a problem that needs a solution. And you can think of the solution that's not going to happen immediately, but then you say, I choose to find peace with this problem. I'm at peace with this problem, whatever it is. I mean, it could be small, it can be, life-threatening, but when you choose peace, you choose to find peace, something takes over, and you'll find your center of peace.
Sometimes you have to change your thoughts too, right? Because sometimes the thoughts just keep, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? I don't know, I'm not going to get there. If I was doing that, trying to go to the hospital, those thoughts, the negative thoughts are going to keep coming in.
Right, you need to replace them with something positive, but something that is true to you. It can't just be a nonsense word or something. It has to be something that has meaning to you, something that comes from your center of truth, which is also your center of peace, your center of truth. So you need to replace the thoughts with something positive that has meaning and truth to you. So
6 years ago now, and I talk about this a lot in my workshops, I had a very rare cancer on the side of my head, and I had this big part of my scalp resected. So anytime that I feel a little bit of pain there, I think, well, I'm coming back, the cancer's come back. I would normally go to worry, but I've learned to choose differently. So I say, I am happy, I am healthy, I am safe. I am happy, I am healthy, I am safe. I am happy, I am healthy, I am safe. I say it 3 times, and usually by the time I say it for the 3rd time, my thoughts go into something else. But I'm replacing.
But it is a truth.
And for me, it's true. I am safe. I am healthy. There's nothing. I don't even say I don't want to worry about that. I have to say something positive. I am happy. I am healthy. I am safe, and I'm not going down there. I'm not going down that pathway, which is where I used to go. And lots of people do. You're just used to it because of either how you were brought up or what you were exposed to, or just what's happening in the moment. You may have a lot of stresses in your life,
right?
But
do.
Most people, we all do. But to choose to think differently with your thoughts is the key.
Right.
And stay in the moment. And you said, choose peace. Do I want to be part of the problem, or do I want to be part of the solution?
Correct.
So choose a solution that is going to work. We all share the same, what I call highest good. Your soul is perfect. Okay? It's all the media and everything that tells you you're not, you know, you're to this, you're to that. You are perfect the way you are. Your soul is worthy of and is pure happiness, joy, and peace. It's all this other stuff in our thoughts and the world that puts all the negative stuff on us. It's about the power of the thoughts. I use this analogy a lot for people to really understand how powerful your thoughts are. What do they do when they're going to bring a new drug, a blood pressure drug to market? They test it on people, right? And they have this group over here, and they say, we're giving you a pill to lower your blood pressure, right? And they're getting maybe the real pill. Then they have this group over here, and they say, we're giving you a pill to lower your blood pressure. And then I think it's probably every single drug that they would test. These people, a percentage of them, probably a large percentage, if the drug is a good drug, their blood pressure does what? Comes down. And what happens over here to the people who took the sugar pill? Some of them, a small percentage, but some of them, their blood pressure came down.
It's mind over matter.
Mind over matter. The mind is very, very powerful, and drug companies themselves are proving that to us, but they don't come out and say it. Oh, and by the way, if you just think that this is going to work, it could absolutely work, and we know that in 13% of the people it does. It actually can, it does work because they thought they were taking what? The pill that is designed to lower your blood pressure.
Right. And they wanted to lower their blood pressure.
And they wanted it, and they thought that it did, and it did. So how powerful are your thoughts?
Your thoughts are all powerful.
They can make you believe anything. It's when they're making you believe the negative and they're making you believe the worry that's going to cause the stress and the panic and the anxiety. And then when too much of that happens, too much excessive worry, excessive stress, it can have effects on your body and your health. And that's where it goes the wrong way. We have these cells in our body that have energy. And if I remember from nursing school, there were the protons and the neutrons and the electrons, and they're electrically charged. Your body is energetic, and it's like the way that I always learned that when I was in nursing school, it was like the body's energy. I don't understand what that means. And then I thought, well, wait a minute. Now, this is how old I am. I used to have an AM radio. And when you tune in the AM radio, it used to have antennas on it. And when you put your hand close to it and you touch the antenna, it would come in clear. And then when I would move away, it would be fuzzy again. And I would move closer, it would come. I'm like, why won't it stay clear when I take my hand away? And then I figured, that's the energy that's in your body. We have electricity in our body. When we have too much stress and worry and anxiety, it can actually change that energy in your cells. And when that happens, lots of physical manifestations happen. But we have, like we said, the fight or flight hormone, and then we have the glands in our bodies that secrete hormones. We're most used to hearing about the thyroid. We hear about the pituitary, but there are other glands that are most important in the work that I know that you do with a lot of stress and anxiety, the adrenal glands. And where do the adrenal glands sit in your body?
They are right on top of your kidneys.
Right on top of your kidneys. And they are responsible for, is it secreting cortisol?
Yes.
And sometimes cortisol gets out of whack. What happens when cortisol gets out of whack in your body?
When you stress, your body releases cortisol. When you constantly stress, your body constantly releases cortisol, which leaves your adrenals lacking in cortisol, and it starts suppressing your immune system. It also starts using up all of your cortisol. When you make way too much, then you become depleted in it. It just has the opposite effect. So your body is lacking its immune system, basically.
So the adrenals have a lot to do with your immune system. So when your cortisol goes down too low, it affects your immune system and it can cause inflammation in your body. So there are lots of people who, when they worry, they stress, they stress. Their hormones get out of whack, the adrenals get fatigued. There's actually something called adrenal fatigue syndrome. And then, once they get fatigued and they're not functioning properly, it causes inflammation. People develop inflammation in your arteries, which is heart disease, inflammation in your joints, arthritis, inflammation in your muscles, can cause myalgias of different kinds, and then it can also cause autoimmune disorders, right?
Yes.
And like rheumatoid arthritis and fibromyalgia. And there are a lot of people walking around with a lot of pain, and doctors just say, oh, you have fibromyalgia, and there really isn't no cure, and there's nothing we can do about it. And what they're not realizing is they're not tuned into what's going on with the adrenals. And I'm not so sure, I mean, I'm still a registered nurse, I'm not so sure why the health industry doesn't focus a lot more on the adrenal glands, but they don't, because there really isn't a test for the adrenal glands functioning. But if somebody's symptomatic, what can you do about helping the adrenal glands to get less fatigue? We have minerals in our body that are important for the functioning of the energy of the cells.
Right.
And we know most of them: magnesium, iodine, selenium, calcium. We know minerals and what their functions are supposed to be. And I know that if you have a blood test and it says your magnesium level's okay, there's magnesium in your heart muscle. It's the critical component mineral of your heart is magnesium. And if your body is low in magnesium in your muscles, you get a lot of leg cramps. And what's a heart attack? Your heart cramps up. And there was a very famous runner, and they had no idea how the heck he could have had a heart attack because he was so physically fit. He was not overweight. And when they biopsied his heart, they found that his heart muscle was low in magnesium, because your organs hold minerals differently, right? And your adrenals, the main mineral there is what?
Iodine.
Iodine. And doctors aren't testing a lot of people for iodine deficiencies.
They mostly test the thyroid for iodine deficiency.
Right? Because the thyroid has to do with iodine too.
Right, the whole endocrine system is governed by iodine.
Okay. And in order for your body to function properly, you may have a blood test, and your blood test may come out normal. Say your iodine's normal, your magnesium's normal, but they're not going in to look at your organs. And everybody's organs are different, right? Because we have different stress levels, and you may be overloaded with something and not, but they're not sticking needles in everybody to know this. So you kind of have to go on what people's symptoms are. And what we're finding that we see a lot of people who come here to the center that are stressed and anxious, and they don't feel good, right? Because the stress and the excessive worry starts leading to health issues.
Right, and they have no answers usually.
And they don't, the doctors say, there's nothing wrong with you, everything's fine, you probably have fibromyalgia, and you probably have this, and you probably, but there's never a definitive diagnosis that they have. Why do you think they're not looking at the adrenals and iodine, and the worrying and the stress as the cause of?
Well, they don't treat symptoms like that. And they rely on the blood tests that are really for everybody. They're not specific to each individual. And like you said, they're not testing each individual organ. They're doing general blood tests.
So like vitamin D, they can test now for vitamin D. And some people, they feel really good if their vitamin D is 35. But a lot of people need their vitamin D level to be up to 50 in order to really feel good. And I know that that's just one test that I know that they do for, blood that is different for other people. And so some people have to take 5,000 units, and some people have to take prescription 25,000 units. So I would say if you have not had vitamin D level checked, everybody needs to get that checked, because that can even cause things to get out of balance. That has to do, it triggers hormones, and some folks say that vitamin D itself is a hormone.
Right,
and that can
it
be
is a hormone.
It is a hormone that can be depleted from stress, and if you're not outside, 50 minutes a day naked, you're not getting enough vitamin D. I read that book, The Vitamin D Cure. So I'm like, who's outside 15 minutes a day? Nobody. So you really should supplement with vitamin D, so your immune system, but always the adrenals and these autoimmune things. What did we say about this? So if there's no blood test, and most doctors don't know, address it, there's no pill, how does the stress and adrenal fatigue affect somebody? What symptoms have you seen people that have adrenal issues and stress issues?
Extremely low energy, skin issues, usually pale, hair loss. They could have usually weight loss. It's not usually weight gain. It's usually weight loss. Anxiety, depression.
And so sometimes the chemical imbalance, a lot of people go on antidepressants and they're treating the symptom, but they're not treating the cause, which could be an imbalance of
the minerals, right?
Of the minerals in your body.
Right.
So there are so many things, and a lot of the reasons that we have these mineral deficiencies is because the nutrients in the soil are depleted.
Right, it's just not there.
And we're not getting it from the foods like we used to get it.
Right.
So we're seeing a lot more people with stress, a lot more people with anxiety, and a lot more people with fibromyalgia, a lot more people with all kinds of pain issues and arthritis at much younger ages. I mean, usually you didn't hear about that stuff in 30-year-old people in their 30s. Yeah.
Right.
So it could be mineral deficiencies. But yet you can't have a blood test for it necessarily.
Mineral deficiencies as well as it could be being toxic and not minerals as well. If the wrong mineral gets into the wrong pathway, then you could have a toxic level, say aluminum, in your system, Alzheimer's, that type of thing.
Are they still saying that aluminum connection with the brain and the Alzheimer's? And that's why women are cautioned to use aluminum-free deodorants, because they're finding, the pathway there goes right into your, sweat. You're supposed to sweat. You sweat. It's when your body releases toxin. And everybody's so worried always stopping themselves from sweating. Not a good idea. I even heard that they can do a surgery now and take your sweat glands out.
That's what I heard, yes.
People don't realize that's where your toxins are. Any questions on the live scan? Okay. So let's go back to when you feel the emotions of fear, of worry, and you want to make that choice. That's not an easy thing to do.
No.
And I know I keep saying that because I'm thinking of lots of people in my head are saying, yeah, that sounds good. I can't just replace my thoughts with I'm happy, I'm healthy, I'm safe. It doesn't work for me.
No. But all of our emotions have a purpose. Even anger. Like anger can save your life. If you get, you see something happening and you get really angry and you go over and take care of it. It could be a life-saving emotion. So it has a purpose. It's just when they get out of balance. So that's where I go back to finding balance within each emotion. And for me, it's just a little visual I do to find the balance. I think of the emotion when it comes, and then I see like a whole note, and I think of a line through it. And it's just a visual for me to find my balance with that emotion.
A whole note, like a music note, you see? And then you just, so you visualize it.
A line through it, and that's the center point.
Because a lot of people, we're seeing stress is because, develops a lot because you haven't learned how to handle emotions as a teenager. And then if you haven't learned how to handle emotions and being upset and talking through them, then as an adult, you're not going to have the maturity level to learn how to handle real stress, stress in your job, stress whenever. And then people start self-medicating with alcohol, with drugs, and they just start this spiral into some get prescription meds. They go to the doctors, I'm sad, I can't cope, I don't know what to do, I'm just staying in bed all day. And they're in this sadness, which is not always necessarily depression, but if they have stress, anxiety that is causing the chemicals to get out of whack in their kidneys, in their adrenal glands, it actually can be adjusting their minerals. They're not doing that in the medical world. But if people see you as a holistic practitioner you can listen to their symptoms and you can maybe just tell them to take iodine or whatever based on their individual needs that you kind of.
Right, and help them understand that sadness is okay. It has its purpose too. We come here to learn lessons, and we come here to grow and to grow our soul. So maybe our soul needs to feel sad, and maybe we just need to acknowledge it and accept it and find the truth in it so that we can let it go, so that our heart can grow.
That's my favorite song, Let It Go. And Shake It Off. And we do a lot of programs here for kids, 6 to 12-year-olds. We have our Be Me kids program last week, and we're teaching them at 6 to 12 years old how to handle kids who are mean, kids who are bullying them, what to do when somebody says, one little girl said, they called me a slowpoke the other day. And I said, and this was our second class, and I said, what did you do about it? She goes, I told them I am not a slowpoke. But if she didn't have those tools to say, no, I'm not what you think I am, she could have started to be squashed, because self-esteem starts at 6 years old. And if it's not built up then we know that the kids don't have the tools that they need, and the techniques and the strength and the self-confidence and the courage to handle the pressure that comes with peer pressure. And then they become teens who can't cope, and then they become adults who can't cope. So it starts really young. So we're working here to empower, all ages, and it's much easier to do with the kids than it is to do with a 35-year-old who thinks they're
undo.
Yeah, because who thinks they're not worthy, who thinks that somebody said negative things to them all the time, and everything's a pressure and everything's a stress. It's a lot of work to do that, but it can be done with life coaching and with lots of support and help. And that's what we do here at the Empowering Youth Center. Is home of Pillars of Light and Love, which is a nonprofit that I started because we had found before, when this used to be just a wellness center, that people would come and they needed life coaching and they needed support, but they couldn't afford it, so I turned it into a nonprofit. So you can apply for free services, and we have had over 700 people through our workshops and support groups in last year, in 2016, and we're really proud of that. And we've seen lives transformed by learning these skills of stress management, of time management, and stress time management or choice management. It's choosing not to worry, choosing not to go down that road and that allow those negative thoughts to come in and replay over in your mind. We were going to talk about that, something about the replay of the negative thought.
Right, also about when you were talking about the antenna, tuning in and
Yes.
the body is electric. Just another way to visualize the body being electric. I like to tell people to think of their body as an antenna. And they're attracting, just like an antenna. If they're putting out negative thoughts, they're attracting negative thoughts. If they're putting out positive thoughts, obviously they're attracting positive thoughts. And the stronger the thought, the stronger the attraction.
And that's like the secrets, like the law of attraction. If you stay negative, you're going to keep attracting negative people. But when you stay positive, you can attract positive. Does anybody know any negative people that when you go in them, you feel their energy? It feels like somebody just threw a wet blanket on you, and you want to.
It repulses you.
And you want to get away from it, like you recognize it. And the more that you're in tune with your thoughts, like you said, be aware. Okay, acknowledge. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling a little negative. I'm feeling a little stressed. The sooner you can learn that awareness, and I call it like the helicopter effect. Like I kind of go on top. Like, what just happened? Why am I all of a sudden feeling like in this mood? What did they just say to me? What was it that was triggered within me? And then I remember that I have control over how I'm going to respond. I have control over my reaction. The power is within you to always change that negative thought, that feeling that's coming on, because things are going to happen, like we said, in your life, and then it's your choice on how to respond. It's not an easy choice. It's a process to learn how to do that, how to recognize it, how to breathe, and how to choose. But if you're in a situation where excessive worry, excessive stress, and anxiety have caused such a hormonal imbalance that you are ill, that you do have hair loss, you do have weight loss, that you have no energy, that you have joint pain, that you have, just the inability to function, and you don't have a diagnosis. It could be a mineral deficiency, and it could be an easy thing. Diane is available here at the center on Saturdays and Mondays, and she can meet with you and help you figure that out from a holistic point of view. And the other thing you have to do is to take care of yourself, the value of self-care. Meditation. It's really hard for me to quiet my mind. I'm not really easy to do that. But I really try to take the last couple minutes before I fall asleep, and I just try to do that triple breath breathing, and I just try to go within, and I for me, so I feel like I have control over something, I picture all of my cells in my body, and I say all of my cells are doing exactly what they need to do to keep my body healthy. And I say that, and I have that visual of the blood flowing through my body. And so I'm thinking healthy thoughts, and that's one of the last things I think about before I go to sleep. That's kind of like my meditation. Like I picture all my organs all functioning fine. You have to take that time to connect in and tune in to your body.
Correct.
And meditation, maybe you do that. Maybe it's just a relaxing. Maybe it's just a relaxing thought. We do yoga. I just came from an hour yoga downstairs, and an hour of yoga. It's very relaxing, and it forces you to quiet your mind. Any tips for meditating or things that you like to do? You said I know you have visuals that you picture things when you get stressed, but is there anything you do when you're not in a stressful mood?
I meditate every day, at least once, usually 2 or 3 times.
How do you meditate? Do you or what do you do? A lot of people think that's
That's not as much of a joke as you think. It's
we do it in yoga.
Yeah.
Do you do that?
No, I don't.
Yeah, no, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. A lot of people, that's what I mean. A lot of people think it's like we do in yoga, but and not every yoga class do we do but tonight we did. But
no, I close my eyes. Some people don't have to, but I do. I close my eyes. I state that I am meditating. I wish to meditate and clear my mind. Anytime a thought comes in, I clear it, and then I just say deeper, and then I clear every time a thought comes in and go deeper. And I go to the place of light, and I just hang out there as long as I can.
And you just be.
I just be. It's calm, it's peaceful, it's its own, but in my head.
When I first did that, there was a guided meditation, and we were just quiet for like 10 minutes. And during that time, all I saw was dark and like sparkly white, like stars but not stars. And there was nothing there, and I kept thinking, there's nothing here. Shouldn't I be seeing something? There's nothing here. And afterwards I said, all I saw was dark. They said, that's when you're just supposed to be quiet.
Right.
But I couldn't be quiet because I was so wondering, like, why can't I
What
see
is
something?
wrong?
I'm doing it wrong. I should be seeing something, like nothing. But you have to in your mind go to that place, like you're saying. You want to go deeper to nothingness, right?
Nothingness. That is when
There's no thoughts, there's no worry. There's just peace there.
That's when you get to your center of peace, and that's where growth takes place.
When you say growth takes place, what does that mean?
That's when your inner light grows. That's like you go to that place of light, and like I said, the law of attraction, you're attracting the light within. So you grow.
So it's positive, it's all joy, it's pure, there's no stress there,
Right.
There's no anxiety, there's no worry, it's just you. Souls, I like to think. So we'd like to end with teach yourself to choose peace. When you think your mind starts to go to the worry, think of the I like the serenity prayer. Accept the things you cannot change, and the wisdom to know that the only person who can change your thoughts and take away that stressful feeling is you. Even if you're subject to having panic attacks, you have to recognize, I've had them before. I know I'm not going to die from a panic attack. It's going to be okay. But when you're in that moment, something is going on. Question from the audience.
Not a question, just a statement.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask a question. Do you have a way for somebody to meditate when they say they can't meditate to save their life?
They can't meditate to save their life. I couldn't, I'm telling you, I couldn't meditate to save your life. Can I tell you what I did? And then you can say what you did. So what I learned to do is when I just lay in bed, I think you have to get away from the word meditate. I'm going to meditate now. I'm going to clear my mind. Yeah, right. What I do is I lay in bed and I start at my feet and I tighten my feet up as tight as I can. And so all I'm doing is concentrating on my body. This is a form of meditation. I tighten up my feet and I say, and now I'm going to relax my feet. And now I'm going to tighten up my knees. And now I'm going to relax my knees. And I breathe very slowly while I'm doing it. And I go up to my body. And I'm like, and I'm going to tighten up my shoulders. And I'm going to, my eyes are closed the whole time. And then I relax I'm going to tighten up my face. This looks great on my TV, on Facebook. But this is what I do. And by the time I do, like I do my arms, I like tighten my arms, I tighten my shoulders. I go from the bottom up. And by the time I get to my head and I tighten, the next thing I know it's morning. Because usually I fall asleep because I do it really slow. And it puts me to sleep. So is it meditation? Am I going to that place of, not necessarily, but that's how I learned in the beginning. And now I can quiet my mind enough to go and see this black nothing and just be with it. It's kind of boring now, I think. Wow, I'm still thinking it's boring. You go to the light and do the piece. Eyes are like, there's nothing here. But I know that I'm going to just peace. And that's what, from somebody who used to be worrying about this and stressed and all, it's an odd feeling of nothingness, of peace. It's kind of weird for me to get to, but now I'm okay with it.
Yeah, for me, it's beautiful. It's like,
you want to get there?
Yeah, you want to stay there.
Right.
I would suggest a candle, focusing on the flame.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Holding the flame, and if thoughts come, that's fine. Let them come and let them go, but focus on the flame. Stay focused on the flame. Even if you get, a couple minutes in of just...
And maybe put music on too, right? Maybe not?
Maybe not. Depends on what works for each person, but...
Whatever. Meditation doesn't, like I said, have to be it can just be a quieting of your mind or concentrating on just one thing, like your body tightening up and then relaxing. But don't get hung up on the word meditation. That's what I would say for that. That was a good question. Thank you for the audience. Any other question in there? We have 2 feeds running, so I just got to check both of them here for us. Question from the audience at this time? Anybody? Good. Okay. Let me just check our notes and see if there was anything else we wanted to talk about. Stay in the moment. Don't fast forward your brain. That's my words. When something's happening and you're starting to worry, what can I handle right here, right now? You have control over what's going on right there. We talked about the antenna and nutrients. I think we got it all handled here. The important thing about emotions, and we did touch on it, accept it, handle it, grow from it. Don't stifle the pain, because it's important that whether you've suffered a loss or grief or anything, you have to go through those stages of loss, those stages of grief. You have to feel it. You have to allow yourself to feel it. Don't stifle it, because if you stifle it and hold on to it, it will lead to overwhelming sadness. It will lead to imbalances. It will lead to depression. Allow yourself to feel. Talk about it. Get to people who you can talk about it, so that it doesn't just keep holding everything in, and then it's going to affect your body the same way.
And deal with the emotions and try to get to the source of the emotions, so that you don't have to keep repeating these unpleasant emotions.
Exactly. So, any other questions in there? Any other comments? Yes?
I thought you mentioned, and I don't know if you touched on it, but replaying something. You said there's something that you keep replaying in your mind.
Right. Repetitive negative thoughts. Sometimes you have what's called limiting beliefs. So they may have come from your childhood, and it may be somebody who said, maybe you're trying to do something, and maybe there was somebody a long time ago who said, well, why do you have to be so slow? You're so slow. And maybe the repetitive thought in your mind is, I can't do this, I'm too slow. I can't do this, I'm too slow. So that's just an example of maybe it's a thought that is kind of ingrained there from a long time ago. And usually it's something from childhood. And we teach a lot of classes to parents. We have a couple of them coming up. And, parents don't realize little things they say, like, why are you so slow? You're so slow all the time. Why can't you do this? Why can't you be like your brother? Why can't you go over here? And we say these things and not realize what it's doing to somebody's mind, because that thought can stay stuck, and they may think, well, I guess I'm not as good as, I'm not as good as my brother. I guess I can't cook because I burn everything, so I'm never going to cook. So those thoughts will play over and over and over, and they're the ones that affect your self-worth, and they're the ones you have to recognize and get rid
also,
of.
I call it the cartoon loop, which is your limbic system at play.
The limbic?
Limbic, L-A-M-B-I-C.
They're the different
Limbic
parts of your
system.
brain, right?
The limbic system is your gut-brain connection. So, although yes, it can be true what Kathy was saying about the thoughts from childhood repeating, it can also just be that your gut function is off and you're not getting the correct minerals to make the right signals to your brain.
Ooh, that's
So
interesting. When you
that's
say gut,
when
you mean this gut?
Yeah, that gut.
Like your intestines and its function
Right,
to your brain?
right. Yes.
Does forgiving yourself help let go of negativity?
Of course. Yeah, yes, you ask for forgiveness.
If you have to forgive yourself and let go of something that maybe you did, it's very powerful to forgive, and it's very important.
Or do you have to
Because
forgive the person who said it to you?
when you forgive somebody else, they have no idea what you're doing. They have no idea that it's even bothering you. You forgive somebody else for your inner peace. It's a gift that you give yourself, and it's very, very important, because if a thought's coming over and over again in your mind, they did this to me, they did this to me, they did this to me, it's going to keep you stuck, right?
Right. But it has to come from a place of truth. You have to truly be at a place where you want to forgive that person. And it's got to come from love. And
How can you love somebody who hurt you?
you don't have to, but it has to come from love from within and having the ability to forgive. Doesn't mean you love that person. Doesn't mean that, and you feel anything good for them, but you forgive them. You don't have to say it to their face. You can just say it. But it has to come from a place of truth.
So it's like you can't forgive, and then the next day this thought just comes back in negative again. You have to.
Right. When you really
Let it
do
go.
it and you really mean it, it goes.
There are things I had a big issue that I had to forgive about, and I wrote it down. I put it in a coffee can, and I lit it on fire. And to me, that was, I watched the smoke go up, and that was me letting it go. And anytime that thought of being mad at that person again would come in my mind, I would say, nope, I let that go. I sent that back out into the world. So sometimes you need to do that. Some people let balloons go as they, release something, but it is something that you have to do to give yourself that peace. It's important. Forgiveness is crucial. You
Right.
hold on to it, it's going to affect you, right? And that can affect your body too.
Right. And when you
'Cause
forgive
it's anger,
others,
resentment.
then you may be forgiven for some things that you have done.
In energetic healing, we say that anger is an inflammatory emotion. If you hold on to anger and resentment, it's going to affect your body and cause inflammation in your body for the reasons that we were probably talking about. Everything gets out of whack because if those thoughts are going to keep repeating, and they're negative, they are going to affect your health. And that's what you don't want to happen. So that's why it's so important to live a worry-free life, because you don't want it to affect your health. You have to learn to let things go, or it's going to fall badly. You want to do that. Now then, keep going.
Do you have any suggestions in helping someone who's just stuck in a very worried, stressful, sad situation? Do you know what I mean? And I understand what you're saying, like they're an antenna and they start to repel or negative thoughts. But how do you still try to help someone, I guess, who even though they're giving off negative thoughts? Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
So it's how you help somebody who's stuck in a...
Yeah.
But you're trying to help them.
Yes. Or what should I do to help them? I know what you're saying, like you can only change yourself, but you don't want to move away from that person, but I think they need help and you don't know what to do.
I would get them to be as vocal as you can. Like, that must have made you... Like, sometimes we want to go right to fixing it, okay? And sometimes people just need people to listen to them. So I would go to, that must have made you feel really sad. Tell me about it. How did that make you feel? Now tell me about it. And get them to you know, what could you have done differently? That was then, what could we change? What could you change going forward? So you have to empower them. That's what life coaching does.
Mhm.
Empowers people that things happen in your life. That's the past. And coaching is, what do you want your life to look like? You have giving them back their power to help them understand that they have the power to change whatever it is now, and to get them to look forward and to work with them with a vision for their life. And you know, if you could be anything, what would you like to be? If you could do anything, what would you do differently? And then usually when they're stuck, it's like, but I can't. Yeah, you can, but that's a lot of you know, coaching to get them to that point.
Is there a difference between, like, say, life coaching and a counselor, or do you know what I mean?
Therapy and psychologists, a lot of times, you know, what they teach us in life coaching is they're focused on why did it happen? What happened to you? Where it is, like coaching is, it happened, what are we going to do now?
Okay.
What are we going to do about going forward? So that's the main difference between life coaching, is it's about going forward. Yes, it happened, helping people talk about it, acknowledge it, like Diane said, acknowledge it, and now choose differently, choose to think differently, choose to do things differently, and create a vision for your life, and create goals, and it's about moving forward. And that helps them to get unstuck, because that's exactly what happens, stuck. Yeah. So life coaching is for getting unstuck.
Okay.
What did you want to add to that? People who are stuck, that's good.
That's good.
Get them unstuck. Unstuck. And lots of people get stuck, and they don't want to go to a psychologist, and they don't want to go, you know, to a counselor. And
But it also can be gut function, something's not working properly, chemical imbalance, you know, minerals that could be needed.
the first thing I would say is see Diane first, and see a life coach.
It's also admitting that you have a problem.
That's it.
You know, I mean, myself personally, I don't have a problem. There's nothing wrong with me. I don't have a problem.
But you're stuck. But you may be stuck. Like, and you're like, when you find things just that keep repeating in your head and hold you back, and you feel stuck, and worry makes you stuck, and worry prevents you from doing things, and anxiety prevents you from doing things. It's like Dr. Phil says, how's that working for you? You know, you're not happy. Your goal, as we said, everybody's goal is inner peace and joy. If you are not happy, if you do not have inner peace, if you are stuck, you need to get unstuck. Are you going to stay there? It's going to affect your health. It's not going to go well. So it's important of taking back your life and taking back control of it and making the choices to get you to that next level. Not working to be stuck. Nobody I've ever met who's stuck is happy. I want to be there.
The people who come to see me that, you know, want the help, that truly are looking for answers and want to do their part in getting better, they get better. But some of the people that are stuck just sort of want to question everything and not really take responsibility and not do their part. So they
Stay stuck.
They might get better slowly, but you know, they're not going to get better as quickly.
And to your point, the first thing you have to do is admit you have a problem. The second thing you have to do is be ready to change it. Not everybody's ready. Some people have to go all the way down, you know, with addictions, for example, all the way down, really, really lower than you possibly think anybody can go before they are ready to change. And it is a choice, and that's what we said. Managing your stress, managing your emotions, managing your anxiety, it's all choices on what are you going to do. You cannot always do it by yourself. You need other people. You need a support system. We have a group here that meets on Wednesday nights called I Am Broken and Ready to Fix Me. Because I saw a lot of people who said, my life is this, but I'm ready to be different. And I said, they're the people that we want to help. You know, Genia and Jessie, who are both inspiration and life coaches, run that group. We've run it almost a year now. And the transformations in that group of getting people who were so stuck, and they keep coming back because the new people join the group, and then they say, I was where you were, and here's, you listen to what they're saying. And it's a wonderful, wonderful group that we have. And some people, you know, they just stay stuck, and that's not where you want to be. But when you're ready, there's help out there. Just gotta find it. Any other questions? We're good? We're good? Wow, I thought we were only gonna go 30 minutes. That's an hour. So thank you everybody for tuning in. This recording will be live. Today is January 16th, 17th, what is today? 16th. February 4th is our first big fundraiser of the year, 1960s, 1970s dance party at Presidential Caterers. Ticket sales are really, really slow, and pretty soon I'm gonna get stressed about it. So if you are interested, please go to our website. If you lean back, Diane, they can see. pillarsoflightandlove.org is the nonprofit website. We raise money through the nonprofit, and that is what enables us to offer free services for those in need. We offer free services for cancer patients, for disabled veterans, for caregivers of those with special needs, and people with very serious illnesses, and people in financial need who cannot afford life coaching and services like massage and eye movement desensitization therapy, which we have here, and lots of other things, all on our website. So please check it out, and please come to our fundraiser or support us in some way. So thank you for tuning in. Good night. One feed and working on the other one. So, I didn't think we were going to get the whole. Okay, don't do anything. Don't do anything, Kim. I'll make sure that. Oh, look, it was.